Have you ever felt different in a way you could never quite explain, more sensitive than others, more aware, more affected by the world around you, yet unable to find words for why? Perhaps you have carried a quiet sense that your life holds a deeper purpose, but nothing you were taught ever fully made sense of it. You may feel misunderstood, overwhelmed by your sensitivity, or uncertain whether what you feel is a burden or a calling. And somewhere inside, questions keep returning. Why am I like this? What am I meant to do? Why does my soul feel awake when the world feels asleep? My name is Grace Anderson, and what I am about to share may completely reframe those questions for you. On February 14th, 2024, during what should have been a routine medical procedure, a severe allergic reaction stopped my heart. For 12 minutes, my physical life ended. In that space beyond time, I stood in the presence of Jesus Christ. What he revealed to me was not abstract or symbolic, it was precise, intentional, and deeply personal. He showed me the meaning of the mysterious M mark that appears on the hands of certain people, and in doing so, he answered questions I had carried my entire life without ever knowing how to ask them. If you carry this mark, what follows may finally give language to what you have always felt but never fully understood. This message is not about superstition or coincidence. It is about identity, sensitivity, and purpose coming into focus. By the end of this video, you may see yourself differently, with clarity instead of confusion and meaning instead of doubt. Before we go any further, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel, because this message may be the confirmation you have been waiting for, and it may have found you exactly when you were ready to hear it. Section 1. The moment everything stopped. I walked into the outpatient clinic expecting nothing more than a routine, forgettable procedure, a minor removal of a cyst from my wrist. There was no fear in my body, no sense of danger in the air. I filled out the paperwork, changed into a hospital gown, and made light conversation with the anesthesiologist, the way you do when something feels ordinary and safe. When she asked if I had any allergies, I answered without hesitation. At 39 years old, I never had. I had never reacted to anything. There was no reason to believe this day would be different. The IV slid into place. Medication followed. A gentle warmth traveled up my arm, calm and familiar. And then, without warning, everything shifted. My throat closed suddenly and completely. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I couldn't call for help. Panic rippled through the room as faces tightened with urgency. I heard words I knew all too well from my own nursing background: anaphylaxis, epinephrine, code blue, clinical language, spoken fast, sharp, and heavy with consequence. As my vision narrowed and consciousness began to slip away, my awareness dropped inward. I looked down and saw my hands gripping the bed rails with what little strength I had left. In that final moment, my eyes caught something strangely familiar: the distinct M shape formed by the lines on my left palm. A mark I had seen countless times before. A mark I had never truly questioned, never truly honored. It lingered in my awareness, quiet yet unmistakable. And then, everything went dark. Before we move forward, take a moment to pause with this scene. What would you have felt in that instant? Fear, surrender, confusion, or something deeper you can't quite name? Moments like this invite reflection, not just on what happened, but on why it happened and what it awakens within us. If this part of the story stirred something inside you, I invite you to gently acknowledge it. Please like this video to support the message, and leave a comment sharing what stood out to you most, or simply type, "I felt the pause," if your heart recognizes the weight of this moment. What comes next unfolds beyond the physical world, into the space where meaning begins to reveal itself. Section 2. The separation and the light. The darkness that followed was not sleep, nor was it unconsciousness. It was a vast, complete emptiness, silent, weightless, and absolute. It lasted only an instant, yet within that instant, everything shifted. I felt myself loosen from my body, gently but unmistakably moving beyond the boundaries of physical reality, as though a veil had been lifted and I was passing through it. Then the darkness gave way to light. It was not sharp or blinding, not overwhelming to the senses. Instead, it was warm, intelligent, and unmistakably alive. This light carried presence. It carried awareness. It carried love not as an emotion, but as a living force that surrounded and held me. In that moment, I realized I still had form. I had not vanished. I existed no longer in flesh, but shaped entirely of light itself. I looked down at my hands, curious and calm, and saw the M mark on my left palm glowing softly with a gentle golden radiance. It pulsed with quiet recognition, as though it had awakened along with me. As I wondered where I was and what this place might be, I sensed a presence drawing near. No footsteps, no sound, only an unmistakable nearness. Before a single word was spoken, I felt complete acceptance, total understanding, unconditional love so profound it required no explanation. I knew him before he spoke. Section 3. Standing before Jesus Christ. When Jesus spoke my name, it felt as though I was being named for the very first time. The sound of it moved through me, not as a word, but as recognition. I fell to my knees, overwhelmed by awe, humility, and a love so vast it dissolved every sense of separation. Before I could remain there, he lifted me gently, as if to remind me that I was not small or unworthy. He told me I was there because the time had come for me to finally understand the questions I had carried for so long. I spoke to him of my confusion about the mark on my hand. I confessed my fear of spiritual deception, my hesitation to trust anything physical as meaningful, and my resistance to believing that a calling could be reflected in the body. I had spent years doubting, questioning, and holding myself back, afraid of mistaking symbolism for truth. He smiled with deep compassion and raised his own scarred hands before me. In that moment, I understood without explanation. He showed me that every hand, every line, every mark carries intention. Some are simply natural variations, shaped by the body's design, but others are deliberate, quiet signatures woven into the physical form to mirror a spiritual purpose. The M you carry is not superstition. It is not fortune-telling or imagination. It is a physical reflection of a spiritual design placed within you before birth, meant to be recognized only when you were ready to remember who you truly are. Section 4. The meaning of the M mark. Jesus explained that every soul is created with intention, and within that creation, destiny is encoded. Nothing about a life is accidental. Some markers are placed deep within the spirit, unseen and unfelt until the right moment. Others appear outwardly, written into the body itself as quiet signatures of purpose. The M mark forms when three sacred lines converge with precision: the heart line, the head line, and the lifeline. This convergence is not random. It is deliberate, a meeting point where feeling, thought, and existence intersect, revealing a life designed to carry meaning beyond the self. The M does not signify status or spiritual hierarchy. It represents ministry not as a title to be claimed, but as a way of living, a posture of service woven into daily choices. It also carries the imprint of Mary, his mother, whose life embodied surrendered devotion. She nurtured divine purpose in its most fragile form, saying yes without knowing the cost, trusting the sacred even when the path was unclear. And the M speaks of mediation, of standing in the space between heaven and earth, between confusion and clarity, between suffering and hope. Those who carry this mark are not meant to rise above others, but to stand among them steady, present, and open. They are called to be bridges, not superior, but essential, not elevated, but functional, designed to connect what others cannot and to hold space where transformation quietly begins. Before we move forward, take a moment to pause with what you've just heard. Let these words settle not in your thoughts alone, but in your body, in your memory, in the quiet places where truth is usually recognized before it is understood. If this description stirred something in you, if it felt familiar, comforting, or even unsettling, that response matters. Reflection is part of the calling, not an interruption of it. I invite you to engage with this moment. Share your thoughts in the comments, what resonated most, what questions surfaced, or what you felt as you listened. And if you're not sure what to say, simply type, "I recognize the mark and its meaning" below. Your reflection is not random. It is part of the unfolding. Section 5. Free Will and Divine Design. Jesus made it clear that the mark is not a verdict written over a life, nor a force that overrides choice. It does not dictate destiny. It reveals capacity. Free will, he emphasized, is never removed. Every soul remains sovereign in how it responds to what it carries within. Some people bear the mark and never feel drawn to explore it. They move through life quietly, choosing simplicity, familiarity, or comfort, and there is no judgment in that path. Others feel an inner pull they cannot ignore. When they consciously align with what the mark represents, something profound shifts. Direction replaces confusion. Experiences begin to connect. Life starts to feel purposeful rather than random, as if scattered pieces finally form a coherent pattern. He then explained the sacred intelligence within the 3 lines themselves. The heart line speaks of deep empathy, compassion, and the ability to feel beyond the self. The headline reflects spiritual perception, discernment, and insight that reaches beneath surface reality. The lifeline reveals endurance, resilience, and the strength required for long-term service rather than fleeting moments of inspiration. Together, these lines form a bridge between feeling and knowing, between insight and action, between spiritual awareness and lived expression. The design does not force anyone to cross it. It simply exists, waiting for the moment when choice meets calling. Section 6. What this is and what it is not. Jesus addressed my concern about palm reading with clarity and gentleness, drawing a firm line between superstition and sacred design. Divination, he explained, seeks to predict or control the future. It frames destiny as something fixed and external, placing power outside the individual and quietly eroding personal responsibility. In that system, a person becomes passive, waiting for fate rather than participating in it. Divine design is something entirely different. It does not dictate outcomes or remove choice. Instead, it reveals capacity. It highlights what a soul is able to carry, not what it is forced to become. Free will remains intact. Responsibility remains central. Awareness becomes an invitation, not a command. He offered a simple comparison. Just as a voice may reveal a natural calling to sing, the M reveals a calling to bridge, to connect heart, mind, and life in service to something greater. A gifted voice does not guarantee a life on stage, and the mark does not guarantee fulfillment. Both require choice, discipline, humility, and willingness. Not everyone carries this mark, because not everyone is called to this particular work. That does not imply hierarchy or greater worth. All callings are equal in value. They differ only in function. Some are meant to lead quietly, others to nurture, some to build, some to heal, and some to stand at the intersection where worlds meet. The mark is not a prophecy, it is a potential. What becomes of it has always and will always remain in your hands. Section 7. The marked ones through history. Jesus revealed to me a living tapestry of souls across time who carried this mark. They appeared in every age and culture, teachers who illuminated truth, healers who restored what was broken, caregivers who carried others through seasons of pain, and intercessors who stood quietly in the gap. Many were never celebrated by history or recognized by the world, yet their presence shifted lives, families, and communities in ways that endured long after their names were forgotten. He explained that Scripture consistently speaks of individuals who are marked for purpose, sealed with intention, equipped for service, and set apart not for status, but for responsibility. Their calling was not always public or dramatic. Often it unfolded in ordinary places through faithful acts of compassion, wisdom, and endurance. The M, he said, is simply one of many ways such a calling can appear in physical form. It is not a badge of superiority, nor a guarantee of ease. It is a quiet indicator of capacity, a visible echo of an inward design pointing to a life meant to serve as a bridge between love and action, spirit and humanity. Before we move into the next section, take a moment to let this settle within you. If something in this history feels familiar, if you sense a quiet recognition rather than surprise, it may be inviting you to reflect on your own path, your own way of serving, and the unseen impact your presence may already be having. You do not need to have all the answers yet. Awareness itself is the beginning. If this resonated with you, please take a moment to like this video so this message can reach others who may be searching for the same clarity. I would also love to hear your reflections. Leave a comment sharing what stood out to you, or simply type, "I honor the purpose written within me," to acknowledge what your spirit recognizes. When you are ready, we will continue into the next section, where this understanding begins to turn inward. Section 8. The cost and the preparation. Those who carry the mark often awaken early to sensitivity, spiritual awareness, and an uncommon depth of perception. From a young age, life may seem to ask more of them than of others. Loss, illness, emotional upheaval, and profound inner trials frequently appear along their path. Yet these experiences are not punishments, nor signs of being singled out for suffering. They are preparation. Wisdom that can steady another soul is never theoretical, it is earned through lived experience. You cannot guide someone through terrain you have never walked yourself. Because of this calling, many marked ones grow up feeling as though they never quite belong. They may move through families, communities, or belief systems with a quiet sense of being different, slightly out of place, unable to fully anchor themselves on either side of the worlds they touch. This, too, is not failure, it is positioning. A bridge is not meant to reside entirely on one shore. It exists between spaces, spanning what others cannot cross alone, shaped precisely by the tension it holds. Section 9. The call for this season. Jesus showed me a world slowly fracturing under the weight of division. Truth is no longer simply challenged, it is fragmented. Compassion is thinning, replaced by reaction. Nuance is disappearing, crowded out by extremes that demand instant allegiance rather than thoughtful understanding. Everywhere, lines are being drawn, and people are pressured to choose sides before they have time to listen, reflect, or remember one another's humanity. In this climate, those who are marked are not called to amplify the noise. They are called to hold the center, to stand where connection still exists when others retreat into separation, to refuse the ease of disconnection, even when disagreement feels safer than engagement. Their task is not to dominate a narrative, but to carry truth with gentleness, to speak with clarity while remaining anchored in love. These individuals are called to keep relationship alive in moments when conflict insists that relationship must be sacrificed. They act as bridges when bridges are unpopular, reminding others that understanding is not weakness and that love does not dilute truth, it delivers it. This calling is rarely celebrated. It is often misunderstood. It can feel deeply lonely. Yet it is essential. In a season defined by fracture, the quiet work of holding the center becomes one of the most powerful forms of service there is. Section 10. Activating the calling. Jesus did not leave this revelation in the realm of theory or symbolism. He offered clear, grounded guidance for how this calling is meant to be lived. The first step, he explained, is acknowledgement. You are invited to recognize your design without apology or hesitation, not as a claim of superiority, but as an acceptance of responsibility. To deny what you carry is not humility. It is resistance to the role you were shaped to fulfill. With this acknowledgement comes discernment. Sensitivity without wisdom can become overwhelming, so discernment must be cultivated slowly and with humility. Not every emotion you sense is yours to carry, and not every need you perceive is yours to meet. Discernment allows compassion to remain pure rather than draining, rooted in clarity instead of impulse. Jesus also emphasized the necessity of boundaries. Empathy is a gift, but without structure, it can turn into self-destruction. You are not meant to absorb every pain or rescue every struggle. Healthy boundaries protect the calling itself, ensuring that your capacity to serve remains sustainable rather than sacrificial in harmful ways. Finally, he spoke of connection. Those who carry this design are not meant to walk alone. Bridges exist to connect land, not to stand isolated in the water. Finding others who share this depth of awareness provides stability, reflection, and strength. Together, these connections form a living network that supports the calling, allowing it to be expressed with balance, integrity, and endurance. Before we move forward, take a quiet moment to let this settle. Notice what stirred inside you as you read these words, where you felt resonance, resistance, or recognition. Activating a calling is not about rushing into action. It begins with awareness and honest reflection. Ask yourself where you may be denying your design, where discernment is still forming, or where boundaries and connection are being invited into balance. If this section spoke to you, I invite you to pause and engage. Leave a comment sharing what part of this message touched you most, or simply type this sentence below as a quiet declaration of alignment. I accept my design with clarity, humility, and balance. Your reflection may be the confirmation someone else needs as we prepare to step into the next layer of this journey. Section 11. The choice. Jesus did not command or compel me. He offered me a choice, one given with complete respect for my will. I could remain in a state of perfect peace, free from pain, effort, or struggle, or I could return to my life carrying what I had been shown. There was no pressure, no urgency, only clarity. Peace was available. Purpose was optional. I chose to return. When consciousness came back, I was surrounded by medical staff, voices urgent, hands working quickly, machines sounding alarms. I later learned that my heart had been stopped for 12 minutes. To the doctors, it was a miracle, an event without a clear explanation, something that should not have happened. To me, it was something else entirely. I did not return confused or afraid. I returned knowing. What had been given to me was not meant to stay in silence. It was not an experience to treasure privately or a vision to keep hidden. It was an assignment, a responsibility. A mission to carry truth back into the world, not as proof, but as invitation for those who were already sensing that their lives held a meaning they could not yet name. Since that day, the M on my palm no longer feels like a mystery I need to question, explain away, or justify. It stands as a commission, a quiet but undeniable reminder that my life was never meant to fit neatly into ordinary categories. I have shared this story with care and reverence, and again I have witnessed the same response. Those who carry this mark recognize themselves instantly, not through logic, but through remembrance. Nurses, teachers, parents, counselors, healers. Ordinary lives carrying extraordinary weight. Tears surface not from fear, but from recognition, from relief, from finally having language for what has always been felt. If you see this mark on your hand, hear me clearly. You are not imagining your sensitivity. You are not broken for feeling more deeply than others. You are not strange for sensing what cannot always be explained. You were designed this way on purpose. You are marked, not for elevation, but for service. Not for attention, but for connection. The world is fractured, divided, and aching for understanding, and it does not need more noise. It needs bridges. And some souls are built precisely for that role. I am Grace Anderson. I crossed beyond the veil and returned with this message because it was not meant to stay with me alone. If this resonated with you, I invite you to make it tangible. Leave a comment below and write this exact affirmation. I accept my design, and I choose to be a bridge. Let it be a declaration, not just for others to see, but for yourself to claim. If this message brought clarity, comfort, or confirmation, please like this video so it can reach others who are quietly searching for the same understanding. Share it with someone who has always felt different but never knew why. Subscribe to the Spiritual Flow channel to continue walking this path of truth, remembrance, and purpose with us. And when you're ready, watch the video below, because this conversation does not end here.